How do we know? Are they giving us the wrong answers? Or are we not asking the right questions?
Hey everybody, back again. So tonight is really exciting. We got to have our conversation with Sargis earlier with his interview. And now we have Mark Curran, who was actually at an event and wanted to take the time to come on and do an interview so that we would get the opportunity to talk to him. So we're going to get Mark on, and then we're going to start our ticker, and we're going to get going. So thank you so much, Mark, for being with us. We really appreciate you taking the time, especially since you're such a busy guy. You're going, doing all these places and making sure you get to talk to people with the election coming up. I think it's awesome that you were making sure you're out with the people before all this starts.
Thanks, Ashley.
Can you hear me?
Appreciate all you do as
great.
well.
All right.
I can't. Yeah, I appreciate all you do, Ashley. You're awesome.
Thank you so much. So, Mark, can you tell us a little bit about your run and why you decided to run for the office that you're going for?
Okay, so we got to go way back to, early, late July probably of last year. And I'm a lawyer. I rent office space from Mark Shaw, who's the head of the County Chairman's Association. And I was sitting in his office, and people had approached me to run for state representative, and people had approached me to run for judge. Nothing felt right. And then I said, who do we have running for U.S. Senate? And then, he went through the list, and I'm like, I thought, there's no, name or anything. So I decided to jump in that race. It was a 5-way primary. It was a rough primary, but I wound up winning it by 20 points over, all my opponents. I got 42%. The next closest was like 21% or 22%. And, but, essentially I saw our Liberty, Dick Durbin, who's, I think that intellectually honest has to agree that he's been there way too long. 38 years. Creature. I mean, look up that word, Ashley, and you'll see his picture. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely been in a bit longer than I think. I think he has he's outsourced his own usefulness at this point.
There's like a delay.
Yeah, a little bit. It's a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit twitchy.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to ask you a few questions, and we'll see how it goes. Sorry. If the service goes through. That's okay. Hey, you came on to try to make sure that you could reach people, even though you're out at like 8:30 at night, still trying to meet with other people in person. So it is okay. We appreciate the try. So before we lose you, if we can't get the service to come on better, how are you feeling about the current events?
There's for sure a delay. I was just going to ask you a couple questions, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay, so Ashley Ramos is somebody that backed the blue. She's at every event. She's very supportive of our law enforcement. Can you just tell us, where'd you go to high school?
I went to multiple high schools, but I graduated from Bradley Bourbonnais Community High School in Kankakee County.
So yeah, absolutely. So you're out there where the Bears practice. Was Bradley Bourbonnais for a long time. Excellent. And then, so how'd you get into the whole law enforcement and sporting and everything else?
So I have multiple relatives that work in different levels of law enforcement. And when I saw the riots and the disrespect happening to police officers all over the country, I decided that I wasn't going to stand for it. I was going to support them and also support the conservative values that I feel are so important to the fabric of our society. And I feel like us losing those is what, predicated some of what we're seeing today.
Excuse me. So, what conservative values do you identify with?
I identify with the kind of conservative values of, let's see, where do we start? I believe that my rights are important, but my rights don't supersede yours. I have the right to feel differently about certain things, and I have the right to speak those protests, but I don't have the right to physically harm another person. I don't have a right to destroy their property. So I'm very much for the amendments. We all have a right to voice our opinion, but that's where my voice ends and yours begins. That's where it ends. No violence. I'm very pro Second Amendment. I'm pro life. However, I do believe in legislation to protect women who have been affected negatively via things like rape, or if you have, a physical ailment that's going to end the life of you or a child. So that obviously in the extreme cases, I find that understandable, but predominantly pro-life, pro-family, pro-military, and pro respect. I think respect is a huge thing for me. I believe that everybody deserves a certain level of respect until you've unearned it, so to speak.
Yeah, excellent. So, Ashley, you've been wonderful just organizing these events. They've gone great. And, I'm very grateful for what you've been doing.
Thank you. I feel like you're giving the interview, Mark.
Yeah. Ask me some questions. Feel free. Fire away.
So I really do. I have some questions that I have for you that I feel like are really important right now. So how do you feel about the legislation that Lightfoot and Pritzker are both talking about putting through? Pritzker, with the fair tax, and Lori Lightfoot is now saying that if the federal government doesn't come in and balance out her $1.2 billion deficit in the city of Chicago, that she's going to basically get rid of 615 police officers to fill that void. If you win the race, which, you got a really great shot at it. What would your feelings be, or what would you do to kind of help to alleviate, so we don't necessarily need to take those kind of drastic measures?
Right. So, let's start with Lightfoot. Obviously, the city of Chicago has not balanced their books in forever, and it's a big problem. These police pensions are unfunded, the fire pensions are unfunded. Every single pension that the city of Chicago is responsible for is unfunded. So, what are we going to do? So, like you, I love cops and firemen, and these city workers. So, we got. If I go to the U.S. Senate as a United States senator, I'm hopeful. Uh, I have a responsibility to try to bring it back for Chicago, to try to bring back monies to shore up these pensions. But going forward, even Washington, D.C. is going to want some corrective action. What are you doing to make sure that we're not back at the same place in 5-10 years? So they're going to want to hear that. And, it's these Democrat leaders that have lied and lied and lied. And as hard as I might lobby for these pensions, we might not get them. So even though, let's say Maine is represented by a Democrat, doesn't mean that Democrat wants to bail out Chicago. So, at some point in time, when are we going to hold these people accountable for all their lies, for what they've done? Are we going to keep voting Democrat? I mean, it's unbelievable that how they've destroyed the state. So, J.B. Pritzker, once again, with the lockdowns, it's so absurd, isn't it? It's just, everybody's hitting the road. Invest in U-Haul, Ashley, right?
I'm saying it's terrible. And it's a concern for the whole state because what's happening in Chicago has created such a vacuum for us fiscally. The monies that we're losing, all of the stores that have left the Mag Mile. At this point, I'm sure if we did the math for it, 26th Street is in Little Village, and that's actually typically the second highest grossing street actually area in the entire state of Illinois, and it's probably at first at this point because we've lost so much money on the Mag Mile. So that's going to affect the whole state. So I like the idea. So you're saying that you're considering this to be more of a conservative thing that we need to figure out, and you're opposed to making the rest of Illinois pay for the mistakes of Chicago. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, let's put it this way. Actually, they have no interest in doing it, and they're pushing back. And as it was, the rest of Illinois paid for Chicago's school system. They're not going to do that anymore. It's just the revolt is on. So, I mean, wouldn't you rather have somebody that was honest with you than just continue to lie like the people that have run Chicago for all these years?
Now, I've seen you, and obviously we've been to some of the same events, and you've supported my events, which I really appreciate. And we've had Pat O'Brien with us. So would you support more of the conservative idealisms of a Pat O'Brien? That's okay. Rather than like the Kim Fox, just kind of letting things go, because that's causing a fiscal strain as well as an emotional strain to a lot of the people in our state, not knowing what's going to happen, just letting criminals out after they've done so much damage. Even in the suburbs now, they're talking about passing legislation so that people who steal or loot or damage property are only going to get hit with a ticket. So would you be opposed to such things happening?
Sure. I mean, I worked with Pat O'Brien back in the 80s. That's how long so I was in law school then, and he had been out of law school for about 12, 13 years and was head of the criminal division at 26th Street. So he's a great lawyer. And you're exactly right. I mean, we need to hold people accountable. I'm not somebody that believes in locking them all up. That's, and quite frankly, the Democrats are the ones that ran on that. You know, the making crack cocaine a stronger penalty than powder, all these racist policies that flooded the criminal justice system, the jails with blacks. Those were all Democrat ideas. But by the same token, we can't just let people throw a Molotov cocktail into a business, destroy the business.
I agree. I think that's actually a really great way to look at it. There's a lot of offenses out there that really shouldn't even be offenses anymore, but then there's other ones that people are getting out of and not being held accountable. So I think that's definitely a more responsible way of looking at it. So in your run, do you have any specific goals for your time in office?
So I mean, it's a 6-year term. I'm looking at essentially give power back to the people, shore up things for the middle class. 1% of America has more affluence, has more wealth than the bottom 90%. Donald Trump has spoke to those issues. Donald Trump is about bringing jobs back to Illinois. Bringing back jobs to the United States. We got to stop the trade breaks that China has gotten. Dick Durbin voted for NAFTA. He voted for trade breaks for China. All of those things, they hurt Illinois in the long run, and we need to make sure that Illinois is prioritized.
I agree. And you actually, I thought it was really great. I got to see you get a little bit of notoriety from the president in Janesville. That was great. I thought that was really cool that you got to stand up, got to see you there.
Ashley.
And I applaud that you
Thank you.
are
Yeah.
not wavering in your values and what you think that we need to work on. I think that that's really great too. So, since we have the opportunity to do so, is there anything that you want the voters to know about you as a candidate or what you will be doing, with your time in office?
So, Ashley, I was a constitutional law professor for a long time. In addition to having previously been a county, state, and federal prosecutor, the longest serving sheriff in Lake County history, I understand those founding documents, and I think that we need to protect what they stand for. And the left, the problem is that they don't believe in anything really right now. So the goalposts are constantly moving, and so we need to get back to protecting liberty. Liberty is belongs to the people, so we shouldn't sit around and wait for JB Pritzker to tell us how we can live our day and what have you. That's not the way a free nation works, and we need to get back to taking care of the middle class. What people don't realize. I mean, look at the 10 wealthiest Americans. They're all Democrats. Buffett, Gates, Bezos, Zuckerberg. I mean, every one of them is, in that crony capitalism that's destroyed the middle class, the elites. That's why we're moving towards socialism. And, I'm supported by lots of Poles, all of their groups, Serbs, Greeks. I have all these endorsements of all these groups that are one generation away from having come from essentially a socialist nation. And they tell you that time and time again that they're worried about America. They're worried about the direction it's headed. So greed is a sin. I mean, we recognize that. You mentioned you had Anthony Beckman on last night. I mean, look at all these blue collar guys that are running for office, and they're all running as Republicans. This is not the party of the Rockefellers anymore. We've kind of kicked them to the curb. The Bushes, all these silver spoon people, and we're fighting for the working guy and the working lady. You know what I mean? We're not. We're a far different party, and people need to give us a look, because ultimately, we're the ones that believe in America. We're the ones that fly the flag out front. We don't hate this country, and we get it. So give us another look is what I would say.
I absolutely agree. I really like you said, where the party is going, and a lot of the ideals that I see. I think people give conservatism and the Republican Party kind of a bad rap, because there's almost like this strictest feel that people think that it embodies, but it really isn't. It's more about getting to share our liberties and working together. So I've seen a lot of that come out in the party, especially this year. And I would say this, we can't sleep on it, because you are running for Senate for now, but Tammy Duckworth is coming up. So when you beat Dick Durbin, we've still got Tammy Duckworth, who is a Democrat, who's going to be coming up in the next 2 years. So we need to make sure that we get some help in there, get the Republican Party and conservatives the opportunity to show people what can really be done to fix things. I think it's awesome. All right. I know you look like you're getting a little cold out there, so I am going to let you go. But thank you so much, Mark, for coming on. I think we gave some really great information, and I look forward to having you on again.
Ashley, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Anytime, Mark.
You're awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley.
Mm-hmm. Have a great night. We'll see you soon. All right. Thanks everybody for being on. Mark, I let go because it was a little hard to hear him, but he was trying his best. I thought it was great that he wanted to give everyone the opportunity, to hear what he had to say and give you some ideas about his campaign. So again, thank you for being with me. I'm really excited. Tomorrow we have some really great guests on too. We're going to have Philonise White is going to be on, and then let me check, because I'm telling you, we've got some really great people we're going to get to hear from. So we got Philonise White, and we have Jim Oberweis. So that one's going to be an interesting one. And then we have, as a grand finale, Tom McCullough, who was supposed to be my first guest ever. Unfortunately, he had a snafu, and he ended up being on the news for it the next day. So I was like, wow. But I'm really excited for tomorrow, and I'm so glad that you guys were with me tonight, and I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you for being with me on The Right Questions. We will see you tomorrow.